Okay, so I wanted to put together for you guys kind of just a little sample of what we're going to be getting up to in the Man MOT workshops. Now, this is quite a bit different from what we'd expect of like going to an exercise class where you just smash out a solid workout, you go for a run or you're playing your sport or whatever. Granted that there is some harder work in what we're going to be doing, so it's not all as subtle as what I'm going to show you today. But in order for me to really hopefully get something different felt within your system, something that you've probably never felt before and experienced before, I wanted to give you this little sample of one of the things that we cover, that we work on. And there's a lot of this that goes on. So essentially, as a human being, as you may have seen with some of my other videos, a lot of what's going on is very much suppressed energy, suppressed emotion in the body. Especially as men, we have a very reduced capacity to process emotion, to let emotion rise up and for it to be present in our body. Hence our addictions, hence the reason why we tend to get rid of a lot of our emotional energy. You know what I'm talking about on a regular basis. It's why porn is so rife. It's because what we tend to want to do as men in particular is get rid of the energy as quickly as possible because our capacity is greatly reduced. So what we're working on in the Man MOT workshop are specific movements, specific exercises that train our capacity to be able to expand and be more and more confident and capable of having this energy within us. Now, when we're talking about energy, we can roll our eyes a little bit and think a little bit new world, but actually what we're actually talking about is actual physical energy within your body. Now, that energy carries information. And in my experience, my great experience from teaching the physical work and doing these movements myself for many years and honing them, plus helping my clients physically on a one-to-one basis, using my hands-on work and my energy work to help open their bodies, help this energy flow, help to build their capacity for energy to be present within their bodies so they don't have to get rid of it. They don't have to get rid of it constantly physically, doing stuff and getting stuff done. We don't have to have these big emotional outbursts. We don't have to we don't have to get rid of it, as you know what I'm talking about. It's allowed to be present. Now, it's not that we're denying the energy, the emotions, the thoughts. We're actually creating a space where they are fully welcome and we can actually process them for them to be present. So let's get down to it. Let's get down to a very simple exercise that is probably very different, like I said, to anything you've experienced before. But you've got to take your time with this. Life presents itself to us and has conditioned us to be constantly running around and doing and be hardcore and making stuff happen. And you've got to drop down below that level to get into your body, to actually allow your body to open up and start to process. So we're going over to the mat here. You don't have to have a mat. You can do it wherever you feel comfortable. You're going to lay yourself down. You're going to have your knees bent up and your feet flat. And I want you to make some time for this. So if you've got distractions, if people are going to come in, if you're going to be listening to your phone pinging, I want you to shut that off. So if you got all that going on, pause the video, come back to it once you've created a bit of space where you can't be interrupted, where you can actually give yourself time. Now that's the biggest thing, right? That we would say so often, I'd love to, but I just don't have enough time. Now the way you create time in your life is by slowing down and processing this stuff that's buried down inside of you. All of that stuff that's buried underneath and down inside is actually information that's going to guide you as to who you are and what you're here to do in this world. So it's pretty valuable stuff. And then once you get that information, then you've got to take action upon it and actually be yourself in the world. Okay, very simple. We link our hands together. We place our hands behind the back of our head and we bring our elbows up. Now this movement is extremely simple by nature. We're simply allowing the elbows to go out to the sides and we're floating them back up. That's really what the movement is. Now, we could all do that, right? Just as we could all run around like headless chickens, doing all the things that we are constantly compelled and that need to be done in our lives, right? But as we're doing these things, we have very little appreciation or awareness of what's actually going on inside. Remember, the information comes from inside. The guidance comes from inside your body that you're shut off from, that actually you use your addictions to suppress. So, we've got our elbows up. I want you to shift your mindset. You can close your eyes here and just listen. I want you to shift your mindset into being goal-oriented, to just try to get it done and then move on to the next thing. We're very compelled to do that in our society. I want you to shift your mindset towards something different. I want you to think that you're not actually going to do this physically. You're going to listen to the step-by-step instructions that I give you. And then you're simply going to let your body follow those instructions without you physically doing it yourself. Almost as if your body is separate to you. But almost as if your body has its own wisdom and can listen. So you're not going to override your body. You're going to watch how your body's going to do this. Now you can imagine a couple of ways we can visualize what's going to happen here. I want you to first of all visualize your elbows that have come up here are like two abseilers at the top of each side of a mountain. And what's going to happen is the rope is going to be gradually reeled out, fed out to each of the abseilers. And as the rope is fed out to those two abseiling elbows, they're slowly going to go down the mountain as the rope steadily feeds out. If you visualize that to start off with, just let your head be heavy. Just visualize the rope is being fed out to these two abseiling elbows. And in their own time, without you having to do anything, those elbows are going to slowly start to open up. Remember, we hold our vision, our image of what we're doing with the movement. The elbows are going down, they're going to come up. That's very simple instructions. But it's what happens as to how that happens, how the body implements the goal, implements the vision. So you'll notice, you may notice several things. One, your body may start to move on a very, very slow level. Two, quite often, your body still isn't moving. Those abseiling elbows are still sitting at the top of the mountain. That's fine. Stay with that for as long as you need to. It's often quite a big shift, especially for men, to drop out of their levels of control over their body, the levels of almost overriding the body's natural mechanisms and actually starting to dominate and superiorate over the top of the body. So your body never gets a look in, it never gets a say, it never actually gets a chance to guide you, which is where we want to get to. You are dominating and overriding your body and turning the volume down of that guidance system. And that's what I want you guys to really tap into. Sometimes as this starts to happen, you may start to experience some shakes, some wiggles. What I anticipate as we take our time with this movement is that some shaking, some quivering will start to go on. The suppression of your energy system, your guidance system. Remember, energy is delivering information. And that information is delivering simply the next step of what you need to do. It gives you your information as to who you are in the form of what you're fascinated by, what you feel compelled to do, the next stepping stone on your path. No longer will you have to worry about which direction you need to go in. No longer will you have to try to figure out how you're going to fix a certain area of your life. The guidance system simply tells you this is the next step. And if you're willing and have courage enough just to simply follow that next step, then you'll see how every little thing in your life starts to open up, starts to heal, starts to come into balance, starts to make sense. And so much of what your life has been about has been buried underneath all of this dominance and coping mechanisms, which once served you to feel safe and secure, so very valid back in the day, but now are blocking this trueness of who you are, this essential nature of who you are, this expression that the world sorely needs. It's time for it to come up to the surface. It's time for you to be you. It's time for the world to see you and to experience you. And for you to give that you-ness, that uniqueness to the world. I may not make a lot of sense right now, but as you do these simple exercises with me, some of them very subtle like this one, some of them a little more physical in nature, we're going to start to unravel those layers, going to start to melt those masks and coping mechanisms. And we're going to start to allow all this amazing, but also very vulnerable you-ness to come back up to the surface, to be processed, to be experienced. So the elbows are coming down. You may start to get a bit of bounciness, a bit of wobbliness. You may not get anything. Be okay with what's happening. That's the key here. Life sets us up very clearly to, especially with our education system, to want to get it right, to get an A+, to do it perfectly. And our mind's always worrying about whether we've done it right, whether we've done it perfectly. Why is this happening? Why isn't this happening? Be okay with what is. I give you 100% permission that in today's class, you are nailing it. You've got a gold star and a smiley face, A+, and you can just ignore those thoughts as to whether it's working or not working, and just be okay with what is. Because it's going to be bang on for you, trust me. I've worked with these movements for many years with many people. It always works. It's always perfect. The more you practice it, the more you gain faith and understanding and appreciation for just how amazing your body is and the information it has to guide you with. So once those elbows have maybe found their way down, and if they haven't yet or haven't even started moving, then you're in exactly where you should be and you're nailing it. That's cool. But if they have managed to find their way down, to get the elbows up would be a simple process of just using your pec muscles, your chest muscles. But I want you to think about something different. I want you to imagine it's almost like helium balloons attached to your elbows. And it's the helium balloons, this unseen force that is going to float those elbows up. So allow that unseen force to take its time. The arms and the elbows are heavy. The unseen force is the thing that's floating those elbows up. All you've got to do is visualize it and watch how your body executes the visualization. And I just want you to notice it as if you were watching a movie on a screen, on the TV. Just be observant of what's happening within you. Now for me, as I open these pathways a lot, I can get a lot of energy release, snaking, shaking, all sorts of stuff going on. It's wonderful. It's often just my system opening up some valves and letting some energy out, letting the flow happen. But just as if you take a dam out of a river, there's an initial torrent as that dammed up water rushes downstream. But before long, that water's equalized and leveled out and is smoothly flowing. And so often the shakes don't last forever. In fact, the more we relax, the more we surrender, the more we allow these feelings to be present and okay, the more the system just chills and allows the energy to effortlessly flow through you without knocking you all over the place. Once those elbows have floated themselves back up there, I want you to be very conscious that you don't squeeze your chest muscles just to try and bring them up completely to the top. Just let them be at the top. Quite often they'll be shaking and maybe starting to shiver. Do this one more time. The elbows find their way slowly out to the sides. You got all the time in the world. There's no rush. The key with this, if you put a time limit on it, if you put conditions on it, the system, the process simply won't unravel for you. It'll happen if you create the space for it to happen. Amazingly, your life will completely unfold when you learn to create the space for your life. Those elbows are slowly finding their way back out, or not. You can always contact me privately, drop me a message through my contact page. Be happy to give you some pointers. Of course, sign up whether online for the Man MOT weekly session. I can give you live feedback if you're able to jump on live with me, or come and visit in person a Man MOT workshop session. I can be more hands-on, I can be more direct, and I can give you more assistance in this process, working for you. So the elbows have gone up, the unseen force floats them back up. Whether anything's happening, shaking, shimmying, shivering, or nothing at all, it's okay. It just might take a little longer for your system to take its guard down and to fully go into a flow state. And my elbows have reached back up, and I'm going to change my arm position now. You can see at the back of my studio that there is a ball, a fit ball. Many of you would have seen these. A little thing going on my phone. I'm just going to press it just so I can carry on watching you guys. Beauty of technology. Okay, so I want you to imagine that ball is on my chest, and I'm simply wrapping my arms around the ball. Now we're going to do a very similar action here. The arms are slowly finding their way out. Simply because those two abseiling arms, hands now, are slowly working their way out. Another visual, a little bit more descriptive, would be imagine when your arms are up like a rosebud closed in the center of your chest. As the sun comes up in the morning, as the sun dawns, that rosebud starts to open in the chest. And as that rosebud opens, of course, your arms are opening at the same rate as that bud. Now, you don't see buds just bang, just open up. It's a process. It happens slowly. This image is very powerful. This will connect more to your heart. One of the most powerful electromagnetic fields. It is the most powerful electromagnetic field in your body. And as you'll learn over the weeks and the sessions, really, if we can open up that pathway for all our emotional energy that's held down in our pelvis to flow up through our system and be felt by our heart, we're going to be powerful mother truckers. We're going to learn some serious lessons. We're going to heal some serious stuff. But most of all, you're going to really find your true power as a man. And who would have thought that all you had to do was open up and feel and connect and be with this stuff, with you, with what's hidden down there, with what comes up to the surface. The arms are coming out. You get quite a nice arm stretch. Most of us are pretty damn tight in our chest and our arms. And again, that unseen force. Heavy arms. It's floating the arms up. It's floating those arms up like puppet strings or helium balloons. Take your time with it. All the time in the world. That's the key. No conditions. Allow that force to float the arms up. Let the shoulders be heavy. Let your head feel heavy. And visualize that circle, that fit ball on your chest once again. Because as the arms float up, they're just lightly molding themselves around that ball again. Keep those shoulders feeling heavy. You'll notice just how much they keep wanting to lift themselves up, let them drop. And you'll often start to notice that the arms, especially at the top here, start to develop a little shake, a little shimmy, a little shiver. Maybe that's further down into your pelvis. If you bring your attention to your pelvis might be doing a little bit of a salsa going on, maybe through your spine. Lots of different sensations will start to creep in bit by bit. Repeat the process again. Allow the arms to slowly take themselves out at their own pace. You're not doing it. They're just, it's like the rope being fed out to the abseilers. Not the abseilers dictating the pace, it's the rope. Arms come down a second time. They're heavy, they're weighty. The unseen force floats them up. So they can just relax. Allow it to take its time. Allow it to do it on its own, just with your visualization. Second time round here, we often start to feel those shimmies and shakes occurring more. This is just you learning how to open up channels for more energy to flow through you, building your capacity and building your ability to have energy present within you. How does that help you in life? Well, we'll do this a third and final time here. Well, when a challenge comes your way, if you have you've developed a larger capacity, then when those emotions are triggered within you by external influences and events, you're able to process them, cope with them. You're going to stop reacting verbally, violently, or with reactive actions. You're able to stand strong, not because you're resisting or suppressing how the event or situation or person is making you feel, but because you allow yourself to fully feel every last drop of how they're making you feel, of how you feel inside. That gives you all the power. In fact, you strengthen yourself by feeling more. And by doing these simple exercises and following this system, as you see, my arms are doing a bit of a shaky, jumpy thing right now. Remember, anything goes. There's an A star, smiley face, go. Everything's perfect. You develop your capacity as a man to be present with life, to welcome every emotion that flows through you. Anyone around you, kids, women, life, people who cut you up on the roundabout on a Friday afternoon. You create a capacity to be able to experience more of what life has to offer. This has a huge effect, especially in our intimate relationships. Every woman is connected to an infinite source of life, of energy. Imagine if your capacity was big enough and strong enough and able to cope with more and more energy that a woman could bring through herself, and you could be a container, a space for that energy to come through. She'll thank you for that. She'll enjoy that. You both will. There's a lot more in this class, in this process, in this workshop than meets the eye. It's quite different. Float your arms by your side. Slide your legs out. Experience this place of calmness. We've just opened up for more energy, more capacity. You can walk forth from this little sample practice onwards, experiencing life more fully, able to draw out life more fully. And you would have opened up for more information to flow through your system to be realized. Don't be surprised if you gain insights and open up passions and desires and interests and inspirations as to what your next step in this world is all about. That's the power of this work. Feel that flow. Feel the life. So that's one tiny sample, an example of what we'll be working on in the sessions. As I said, they're going to be more intense, more physical by nature sometimes more on this more subtle level. But it's important that we have the two. Otherwise, the stronger, more physical exercise means nothing if you don't have that subtleness, that capacity to be able to do something very physical, but with a connected sense in your own body. So eventually you'll combine more of this subtle sense with the physical, and then the physical, you get so much more out of it. It's not just some physical exercises that just strengthen your core and do this and do that. It has a much more profound effect. It's actually opening up your body. It's actually bringing balance to your body, and you develop more flexibility, more strength, but so much more than just that. You develop a capacity and a connection to you. And goddamn, does the world need more of you in this world. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found it useful. If you want to connect, drop me a line. If you want to jump in on the online sessions, which are on Monday evenings, you can find that on the website. If you want to come and see me in person for a weekly workshop, come and find where I am in Exeter. That's all online as well. If you feel compelled to work with me in person, I can work online. I can work in person with very powerful techniques to help speed up and accelerate this process of openness and mentorship, and whichever way you feel compelled. Whether I see you in the future, whether there's just been a little snapshot of us, our paths passing, it's been a pleasure, and I'll see you on the other side, whatever that means. I can think of a way to finish off the video. Bye.